This week we read about the story of the great flood. God says to Noach that the entire world has become corrupt and self-destructive. I'm going to bring a flood to destroy the whole world, but I've seen you to be a righteous person. Build a teva, an ark. You and your family and a few of each of the kinds of animals will enter into the ark and you will be saved. And God brings a flood. The entire world are eliminated, and Noach and his family are saved. They begin the world anew. We know that the Torah is God's eternal guide for us for all times and all places. So how is the story of the flood relevant to us today? The Baal Shem Tov gives this beautiful explanation. And he says that the raging waters of the flood represent our pressures and worries to make a living and all of our physical challenges. And God is saying to us, in order to be protected and saved from the raging waters and pressures of life, enter into the teva. The word teva in Hebrew, it means an ark, but it also means words. And God says, enter into the words of Torah, enter into the words of prayer, and you will be protected from the raging waters out there, and you will be saved. Because the words of Torah and prayer are the words of God, and it's God's light. And when God surrounds us with His light, it gives us a sense of confidence, sanity, and He gives us a strength to deal with the world. At the end of the flood, God says to Noach, now leave the teva. And this is the second lesson for us. Some of us get very comfortable in our spiritual cocoon where we feel so nice and spiritual, and we don't want to deal with the world. Says God, no, now it's time for you to leave the teva and go out to the world, engage the world, elevate the world, and inspire the world. So we have two lessons. Lesson number one is that each day we need to study some words of Torah and pray, and that gives us the protection and sense of confidence from the raging waters out there. But then we have to engage the world, and we have to bring God's inspiration and light out there into the world. It says that the Mabul, the flood, has two names. It's called the waters of the flood, and it's also called Mei Noach, the waters of Noach. The word Noach means peace and rest. And that is the lesson, that we have to transform the raging, turbulent waters of life into waters of peace and tranquility. Have a very good Shabbos.